Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this sixth day, Thursday. Yes, we almost made it to Friday, folks. The Good Friday. I cannot wait myself. Haven't got a chance to see any of the Masters. I know last I checked, Brooks Koepka was in it. You know, something about the Masters, I'll have to say that some guy named Vin Hovland is 7 under, tied with Koepka and Jon Rahm. One thing I've noticed about the Masters is what was so great about Tiger Woods in his prime was the fact that he was in contention for multiple years consecutively in a row. You know, that's one thing I've noticed about that. With this new crop of players, whoever won last year probably won't win it this year, you know? And this that tells you how good he was, what kind of great run he was for the late 90s and into the early 2000s. Got a good show on tonight. Going to finish up that mock draft. Also talk about the NBA play-in game. I think a lot of us are still fresh on this. I'm going to give everybody a refresher on how this is playing out. Talk a little bit about the standings and back to the football. Yeah, Cam Newton gave a list of teams he would like to back up for. I guess the whole arrogant intro video at the Auburn Pro Day didn't sit well with general managers around the league. Now he's saying, "Hey, I'll be a backup somewhere, and I'll give you a few reasons why I think for the right price, I would bring in a Cam Newton. I think he can still play I think he can still play a role. And we'll talk about that. Tyreek Hill, he gave his exit date, which I think is good. He says he's going to play out his contract and then retire from Miami. So we'll get to that. Go ahead and knock out the one and only break here on Sports Scope. I'll be back in 49 seconds. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Righty then, I'm back live on all links, and always give you guys a heads up on things. Pending something crazy happens, tomorrow will be just like every Friday. I'll have Carlos Madden, New Yorker Chavez in. Chavez. Pickles, I was watching Young Gun. You know, I think I've seen the movie Young Guns with Emilio Estevez, Lou Diamond Phillips with Chavez. I think I've watched it again the other day. You know, I'm watching a lot of the old movies. I got a new cable box from Xfinity. And I think I may have seen that movie 100 times. And I've probably seen Scarface 50 along with Forrest Gump. You know, I mean, I don't know. Those are my favorites there. Just like to watch over and over again because of the good one-lines and action. And, of course, the comedy in them. Okay. Now, I stopped at 25, and that was, I think 25 was Giants, but I can't remember for exactly. Either way, I'm on 26 now. Dallas, you know, I may try to, on Tuesday, to get Jim Jeffcoat in because, you know, the national media has their narratives about Dallas, and I feel like some people are being polar one way or the other because the Cowboys are such a popular team around the NFL that I think people like to, and I was telling a friend of mine about this with the local, I'm at a Nashville area, about the local Tennessee Titans radio people, the local media here. I think that people like either they sound like they work for the Titans, like they're a public relation person, or they're simply overly negative just to be a contrarian. Other words, the truth is somewhere in the middle. And I get a sense of that from the national media because the Cowboys are such a draw. Well, hey, they're the most valuable brand in all of sports around the whole world, according to Forbes magazine. And as much as I want to criticize a guy like Jerry Jones, and I've just about finished up the Jimmy Johnson book with some of his pettiness. You got to give the guy some credit. He made them the number one brand in the world. People like to talk about it. If you think about the Cowboys, Pickles, look at all their ex-players that are people. Tony Romo making a ton of money, working with CBS now. Same thing with Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, even though he's been into some trouble. On TV a lot. Daryl Johnson, hear him a lot. Former Cowboys, played with those teams there. So they're very popular. A lot of the former players are popular around the way, probably more than any other organization if you really think about it, the Dallas Cowboys. And you got to get back to Jerry Jones. Now, a lot of the mock drafts are saying that they're going to go defensive line, offensive line. They're getting long in the tooth. They did lose one offensive lineman. I think his name was O'Connor or whatnot. They lost one of their guards, I want to say, to the Buffalo Bills. We were talking about that a few weeks ago with John Restino from Spitball and Sports. So you look at the box, the offensive line, defensive lineman, but judging by the personality, I remember one year, Pickles, I was for sure they was going to take in the first round. They were going to take a corner because they really needed a corner. They were getting torched the year before at the cornerback position. And, they had Amari Cooper on that team. And what did they do? They took CeeDee Lamb. And it turned out to pay off. I think CeeDee's a pretty good player. But that they love the flash. If they can help it. And the flashy player, Jerry Jones is all about that. He loves to get that flashy player. Now, remember, they lost Dalton Schultz through free agency. So I'm thinking, according to my mock draft now, I'm at 26. So 25 players have went, only one tight end. This is a very heavy tight end draft, according to Pro Football Network, NFL Network. It's the most talented tight end group in 10 years, according to, and quite frankly, I've read it through other sites other than just the NFL Network. So I think since they've had so much success there with Notre Dame players, I think they take this guy named Michael Mayer. He's a tight end out of Notre Dame. Remember Zach Martin? They took him. Not a flashy player, but a highly value guard. And Stephen Jones and the scouts, they were on Jerry, say, no, we do not want to take this Johnny Manziel guy here. This lineman's going to be good. Trust me, he's really highly graded everywhere. Zach Martin's probably a Hall of Famer, and of course Johnny Manziel's out of the league somewhere. I don't think he's playing semi-pro. And then a few years later, they end up taking this guy named Jalen Smith. Now, Smith was a linebacker. He got hurt pretty bad in the bowl game one year. Then that caused a stir about, players playing in these meaningless bowl games. He fell to the later rounds in the draft. I want to say second, third round, something like that. Cowboys picked him, made a miraculous recovery, played well for a few years. Dallas overpaid him once they gave him a second contract, then later released him. But initially, he played pretty well for the Cowboys. So I think they're going to pick their third Notre Dame player, maybe more than that, but that I know of, third Notre Dame player, and within the last 12, 14 years here. And they're going to take this guy, Michael Mayer, if he's still on the board, and he's going to replace Dalton Schultz. And again, I think Dallas, for as much as I want to just berate Dallas and throw Dallas on their butt, I think they're having a really good offseason considering what they're paying, considering what Dallas is paying Dak Prescott and whatnot. I think they're having a good offseason. I think they made the right move so far, getting rid of Ezekiel Elliott and keeping Tony Pollard. Now, there's a possibility they could get a Jabari Gibbs, but I think they can get a running back later on. Get that tight end, get Dalton Schultz replaced. We know that Dak really likes to throw the ball to the tight end. We've seen that with Schultz, especially when he's in trouble there. But Mike McCarthy, I believe what he said, and he said the right things. Again, the national media is saying that they're pointing the finger at the wrong person. No, I think that when the stats don't lie, when Dak Prescott, when he throws under 30 times a game, they're like 85, 90% winner. When they don't, it's almost 50-50, guys. It's almost 50-50. You know, he wins some shootouts, but, you know, they blow a lot of games when he gets pass happy. And a lot of that was because of Keelan Moore, who's now the coordinator of the LA Chargers. Run the ball, play defense, play field position, and let the offense develop as the game's going on. Take your shots when needed. You can't be run heavy all the way, but if you need to run more than you pass, keep those attempts down, play field position. You've got an all-world defense there, player per se. I think Michael Parsons is really that good. And I think Dallas will be okay. And, of course, you know, they've had other picks to get. So I do think they get this tight end, Michael Mayer. And folks, when I get a chance, I'm going to post these on the Sports Scope Facebook page, and I may try to tweet them out, Pickles. I haven't thought exactly if that'll work out or not, but I think I can get 4 or 5 picks in one tweet and just do a thread out of my mock draft and see how it compares. Again, I'm going with not what I would take. I'm going with what the personality of the team is on this mock draft. So I think it's going to be Michael Mayer. Cowboy fans going to love this guy's a really good player out of Notre Dame. Okay, so that's 26. 27 now. Again, the Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott lost a really good player. Lost him in his prime. Tremont Edmonds there. You know, he fits a better scheme, and plus he's got a lot more money from Chicago. So their linebacker, really good player, quick guy, can cover around the board. They lost him. Again, Buffalo, a lot of the mocks got them maybe trying to make a move and get Bijan Robertson. Some mocks have them making a move and getting one of these receivers that are left, maybe a guy like a Quentin Johnson from TCU, somebody to offset Stephon Diggs. Because Gabriel Davis is not really that consistent. He'll make a big play, and then you're wondering if he's not going to be in there. That's not the personality of this coach. Could they use some help on that line? Get an interior guard? That's what I would do. I hear the guy from Ohio State is really good. They've got an inside player that could go late in the first round. Heck of a player, a guard, an interior offensive lineman. And they also got a right tackle that's good. They're not going to do that. They're going to they're going to fulfill that linebacker spot. Now, I will say this. The linebacker position, folks, in the first round is statistically, and it's still to this day, the least bust rate of any other position in the first round. I have no idea, but that's just the way it rolls out. It's this. You would think, wow, it's not a running back. No, it's a linebacker. Linebacker in the first round. So I think that they do take a linebacker and replace Tremont Edmonds with this guy, is supposedly, according to Pro Football Focus, the highest rated linebacker that's not considered a air quote edge rusher. His name is Trenton Simpson from Clemson. And like a lot of these Clemson players, they can cover a lot of ground, man. You know, they cover ground to ground, sideline to sideline. He's a quick player, Trenton Simpson. Looks a lot like Tremont Edmonds. That's right. So they're going to get this guy from Clemson, in my opinion. Pickle says Bijan Robertson will be a keeper. He would be great. Derrick Henry looked good up there. You know, that rumor was floating around about Buffalo for a while, and they may do that. They very well may do that. Make a move and get Bijan Robertson up there. He would be good. I picked Philadelphia to take Robertson to 10 because he's such a highly. But really, when I think about it, Philly really going to run the ball out of the when the quarterback's under center? I don't think they'll do that, and that sucks because you really can't see the showcase of a guy like Bijan Robertson. He's a great player, man. He reminds me of like a Curtis Martin type of guy. Very talented, can do it all. Got a little Zeke Elliott type of look about him when he came out of Ohio State. But but the Bills they're going with the linebacker. Okay. Something. Yeah, Miles Sanders. Yeah, Miles Sanders. I think Sanders went to Carolina, Pickles, in free agency. I've noticed that teams with the more accurate quarterback, don't really use their tight end enough. I think these bullet accurate guys, they always, especially when they're young. But when you got a really, really good coach there, in the Andy Reid, and there's such a guy, what a go-to guy in Travis Kelce, But Cincinnati, I say all this because I noticed that Cincinnati don't throw the ball to the tight end as much as I think they should with Joe Burrow, because Burrow can thread it to a receiver that's deeper downfield, and he can thread it in small holes with that comeback. And I noticed the same thing with a very accurate, when he's healthy, a very accurate Tua. Mike Gesicki, he wasn't used enough, and Hayden Hurst really wasn't used enough. Neither was Uzama. None of those tight ends, and I think maybe Cincinnati, they got Irv Smith. Remember, Irv Smith was a former first-round pick that went to Minnesota, and got hurt and was now a free agent, and Cincinnati, signed him. But a lot of the mocks have Cincinnati. I'm at 28 here. They had them taking a tight end, maybe a Darnell Washington out of Georgia or someone like that. But you know what? After really thinking about it, I know Samaje Perine is no longer on that team. I couldn't find him on the roster. And Joe Mixon's getting a little long in the tooth, Pickle. So now we're talking. Now remember, Cincinnati was in the AFC Championship game. We're talking the 28th overall pick. So you're getting close to the second round. So I was reading something the other day, and one columnist says that Jabari Gibbs out of Alabama would be perfect for Cincinnati. And you look at where Cincinnati's picking at in the first round at 28. I don't know if a talent like an Alabama's, who ran like 4.3, 4.4, catch the ball out of the backfield, really good between the tackles. He could be a fantasy guru if they use him right. They're going to have a better line to run out. So I think Jabari Gibbs from Alabama, I think Cincinnati takes the second running back off the board at 28 and gets this guy. And I'm telling you, man, if this team wanted to slow a game down, milk some clock, man, you could give this guy delayed handoffs. He can catch it out of the backfield. He's durable. He's a little small, but, man, is he talented, man. Every game I've seen this guy play in last year, it seemed like a big game. He had a huge day against Tennessee in his games. And Gibbs, he's a good safety blanket. Kind of reminds me of a little quicker Ray Rice, little quicker Ray Rice, if you ask me. Got a little Alvin Kamara in him. Jabari Gibbs from Alabama is going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, now 29. Okay, now this is Saints. I was reading this on the when I looked up the draft order. It says from Saints, from Miami, from San Francisco. I mean, this thing has been bounced around like nobody's business. But somehow it's ended in the Saints. And Saints, they obviously they need as many rookie contracts as possible with all the money, the dead money they've had over the years, and push back dead money after dead money. They need some rookie contracts, and I'm sure they're going to eventually do away with players like Cameron Jordan at some time. 30-something-year-old player, making a lot of very good player. Cam Jordan, very good player. Guys like, God, I just said the guy's name here. Like their running back, Alvin Kamara, who may get in trouble, probably going to get suspended this year because of the assault or whatever's charged with him in Vegas a few years ago. So they're going to be at 50-something million over. They've been over the last 2 or 3 years, and they found out a way to do it. So they definitely need Michael Thomas. Pickle says Michael Thomas. Yeah, they readjusted him. We thought he was going to get cut. He's going to come back and play with Derek Carr. So the Saints got this pick. Now, I think they take a tight end. They take a tight end, just Jawan Johnson or whatever his name is. I don't think he is a very consistent player. Again, this is a really talented tight end. I think this guy, Luke Musgrave, is getting a lot of ink too. He's out of Oregon State pretty quick. Oregon State, man, they were really bad for a few years. Played really well this year. Almost beat USC. Oregon State. Luke Musgrave, tight end to help out a Derek Carr at 29. Okay, 30. Now remember, there's not a 32nd pick because Miami got in trouble and they had a forfeit window. So there's only 31 teams. So Philadelphia, 2 first-round picks. I was telling Jamie Paggs, the Philly sports guy, I said, man, you guys are cooking. You make it to the freaking Super Bowl, and you got 2 first-round picks, a 10th overall, and you've got your regular first-round pick at 30th, okay? Philadelphia, we thought they were going to lose a lot of players in free agency. They did lose a few, but they didn't lose the key ones. I thought perhaps Travis Kelce's brother, the center, I think he's a center, right? I thought he was going to retire. He's 35. He's staying. I thought that they was going to lose Darius Slay. He went to free agency. They signed him back. Same thing with James Bradbury on the other side. So they signed back their corners. They signed back their obviously they already have guys like Hassan Reddick on one of their very good pass rushers. They did lose Javon Hargrave to the 49ers. So I've been reading a lot of these mocks. Got this guy from the University of Pittsburgh named Calijah, Calijh, Kancey, Kancey, defensive tackle at 30. He's University of Pittsburgh. Hopefully he plays like another University of Pittsburgh defensive tackle a few years ago that was drafted, and that was Aaron Donald. If he's half as good as Aaron Donald, the Eagles will be jumping for joy. They could trade down. Somebody could trade up. You never know. They can always just take the best player. They're in really good shape right now, this Philadelphia Eagle team. Okay, so now we're to the champs. We're to the champs, Pickles. I didn't realize that Kansas City cut Frank Clark. Clark was having a down year. He was inconsistent last year. I want to say he had a couple of gun charges too, but he never got in full amount of trouble for that. Kansas City's Frank Clark. So Clark is still kind of maneuvering out there. I don't think anybody has signed Clark there. So I think they take an edge rusher. Again, this is one of the guys a lot of the monks come up with. There's a guy from Kansas State. His first name is Phoenix and Udike Uzmaf. I mean, that's a mouthful. It's one of them TJ Hushmanzada type of last names. But if he's good, people will realize his name. From Kansas State, maybe they go offensive line here, but I don't know if the grade is there. They do need another pass rusher. Chris Jones can't do it all. That may have been his best year, and that's probably his best years are probably going to be behind him. If I'm Kansas City, I may add a receiver, but other than that, I'm going all defense, man. I'm going all defense. Probably want to do something about that tackle position. Like I said before, I think that the fact that they let Orlando Brown go and Kansas City did not get Laremy Tunsil in that trade, I think that possibly Brett Veach got a little too cute, overconfident there, coming off 2 Super Bowls now. It's hard not to believe your own hype. I think they may regret that, and Patrick Mahomes could possibly get hurt this year. I hope not. Love the guy. He's great for the league, but there is a possibility that they get that tackle there. If the grades are there, if a Darrell Wright, someone like that guy from Tennessee, if I don't know, the tackle from Georgia slides, I don't think Paris Johnson is going to slide, and I don't think Sinoski is going to slide. But if there's another tackle in there, they'll take a tackle here. But my guess is they'll probably take this edge rusher because he's probably a higher graded overall prospect. But like Pickle says, he'll absolutely get a tackle. Now, that being said, Brett Veach, he's got guys. Their center, they got him in the 4th or 5th round. He was a home run and a half. They got Trey Smith out of Tennessee late in the round because Smith was had a lung issue or something like that. He had some kind of internal issue. It's like a lung or kidney issue. It scared teams off, but really he was the best player in the state of Tennessee when he was recruited University of Tennessee. And at one time, he was considered the highest rated prospect in America. And he played well at Tennessee towards the end. Kansas City rolled the dice with Trey Smith, Tennessee Vol, and they come out like a bandit. So they do, and I've read that their center's one of the best center, if not the best center in football right now. So it's not like their line's decimated, but left tackle's huge, man. Left tackle is huge. It's the most important position other than quarterback itself on the team, if you ask me. If you ask me. Get the quarterback, protect the quarterback, right? Give him some time. Give him some time. So that's the end of my mock draft. Now, I'll place all these within the next day or so, probably about this weekend. I know for sure you'll see these on my Twitter feed. Plus, you'll see them here on the Sports Scope page here, probably a little easier on Facebook. And, of course, you can always go back and listen the rest of the Sports Scopes on Spotify or anything, YouTube, these last all week here. You can go back and see I've got the mocks in the title. So whatever your team falls in at, you can look and say, okay, I'm giving you a mock with what I think they would do, judging by the personality of the head coach and the organization. Okay? All righty then. This play-in game, I'll have to say this. These NBA play-in game, I wasn't sure what to think of it. I just wasn't sure. I did not have an opinion one way or the other. I simply did not have opinion. I just didn't know what to think about it, quite frankly. So I just want to give everybody a heads up on how this is coming about. Now, depending on what team it is, you got anywhere from 2 to 3 regular season games left in the NBA playoffs here. And Pickle says Dallas. Check this out. Dallas is currently an 11th seed. They rolled the dice here with that Kyrie Irving trade. They rolled the dice with that Kyrie Irving trade, and the team has just collapsed. The defense is not there with him and Luka Doncic. Doncic has said it for the second year in a row. He says he has to work on his defense. Yeah, And another thing, stop playing all this overseas ball in your other country. I would recommend not doing that, only in the Olympics, man. You want to stay in shape, give those legs a rest, and don't go play in your own country. The NBA is paying you a fortune, an absolute fortune. That being said, they're 11 seed. Talking about the West, because it's the most competitive, I want to say that LA has clinched a playing game. The Lakers have clinched a playing game, but they're currently the 7th seed, so they're in the playing game. All right, and followed by New Orleans has got the 8, 41-39. Minnesota at 500. I would really like to see Minnesota get in. Minnesota's got a really good team. Remember the Karl Anthony Towns. Remember, he was out for a long time. He just came back. They're a 500 team right now. They could be dangerous in the playoffs. So if all this started today, essentially, the Lakers would play the Pelicans. Okay, they probably would beat the Pelicans. They would play the Pelicans in the play-in game, and then they would get the 7th seed, and then of course they would play Memphis. Now remember these play-in games, so they start essentially. I want to say that these bad boys start next week on the 11th, right? Yeah. They start on the 11th, and then the playoffs, I want to say the 11th to the 14th. Then the playoffs start on the 15th. So if you say, for instance, now I just mentioned the Lakers as an example. So now, if you lose that game and you're playing in that 7-8 hole, you would play the winner. The 9 and 10 seeds would play each other. The loser in that, they're gone. 9 and 10 losers gone. Okay, so the loser of the winner of the 7 and 8, they get that 7th seed. All right, so the 8th seed can potentially get the 7th seed, right? And so the loser would be the 8. They would play the winner of the 9-10 seed. The winner of that would get the 8th seed, and then when the big playoffs start, they would play the 1 seed, which the last time that a 1 seed has beaten a 8 seed has beaten a 1 seed, I want to say was about 14 years ago, I want to say, this is before Steph Curry. This was a Golden State team, I want to say. Golden State beat Dallas, Pickles, that year. Do you remember that? Golden State beat Dallas. It was a different group of players. I can't remember who was involved there. I can see their head coach. I can see their main player there, and I can't remember the guy's name. But this was before the Steph Curry era. It's very rare, my whole point is. And remember, these games back in the day, folks, some of you older listeners realize, Barron, what's his first name, Pickles? Guy was a really good street ball guy. He's a good one-on-one guy. Good one, but they wore themselves out. They got put out in the next round. So it's not going to – I don't even care. Like, say, for instance, the Lakers lose for whatever reason that the Pelicans get hot and shoot them out of the gym. That's it. Baron Davis, Core, you and Pickles know your basketball. That Baron Davis team, guys, if I'm not mistaken, that was the last time. We're talking about anywhere from 10 to 14 years ago. That was the last time that an 8 beat a 1. Great series, though. Great series, Now, as far as the East is concerned, guys, the East is fine. The East is fine. The East is locked. Most of the East is locked, other than, I want to say, like these play-in games are all locked up on the East. Okay, here we go. Obviously, Milwaukee and Boston. Okay, I want to say Milwaukee and Boston, as of yesterday, they have clinched that 1-2. Philadelphia, 52-27. My guess is they're going to hang on to that 3. Cleveland's at 50-30. That's going to probably be the best. Not unless, and I really hope and pray this happens. I really want to see Golden State and Phoenix play in week 1 in this first series. But this Cleveland-New York is going to be a good one. Cleveland's got the better talent. You know, I'll break all this down next week once this is all settled. But both of these teams are in. So the competition is between Brooklyn at 6, 44-36, Miami at 42-37 to get that 6 seed, so they don't have to go to a play-in thing. I think Brooklyn hangs on. And then Miami in the play-in will play Atlanta. That'll be a good one. Miami will play in Atlanta. Atlanta's pretty talented. Atlanta gets hot with Trae Young. They can win. And then Toronto would play Chicago. Toronto probably beat Chicago, but who knows, man? It's one game. That's why I like it's like NCAA tournament style, right? My guess is Toronto will beat Chicago. Atlanta will probably beat Miami. And then Atlanta will be the 7, and they would play Boston in the first round. But check this out. So let's go to the West here. Now you've got the Lakers. Again, they're going to get 7 through 10. They're guaranteed, according to I think Adrian Wojnarowski. They're going to get one of those play-in games, and they'll probably. What I would really like to see, if somehow Minnesota can run the table and get up there and play. I'd love to see the Lakers get pushed by Minnesota Timberwolves team. And I want to say some of these. Okay, Minnesota can do it too. I mean, they've got to play at San Antonio on Saturday, and then they've got to play New Orleans at home on a Sunday. San Antonio, they're trying to get number 1 pick. You know, maybe they can mail it in. Last game they played was Tuesday, and they got some dogs. I would love to see these guys win out and get up and play and have to play the Lakers. I would just love to see them eliminate the Lakers because the media, they're hanging on to LeBron so bad. Just hang on to the LeBron legacy, you know. And I love to see the Colin Cowherds and the who was the other guy? Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp just squirm and cry over the Lakers getting put out in the play-in game. That would maybe make the whole playoff, you know. So why? But I don't know, spite against the Lakers. I mean, that would be nice to see the Lakers get, other than seeing Golden State, seeing the Suns put out Golden State and shut Steve Kerr up and Draymond Green up. That would be money. So those are kind of, you know, beggars can't be choosy. I don't know which one I would want more, you know. Kick LeBron and AD to the curb. So, okay, so let's suppose, let's suppose they do get in. The Lakers, they're going to play Memphis. And if LeBron and Anthony Davis are both healthy, yeah, they beat Memphis. I've seen them beat up on Memphis. I mean, they got the size advantage. They shoot the ball well. You've got their new acquisitions. Got the guy I was talking about last week, and I can't even remember his name now. I was telling him about hold on, because I remember me and Carlos, we were talking about this guy last week. Let's see who his name is. Austin Reeves. The legend of Austin Reeves. They could beat Memphis. But here's my thing. Do you really think that LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to be healthy against a young, hungry, experienced, that's the key word, experienced Memphis team? I don't think they'll stay healthy. I think Memphis will probably win that series in 6 if it happens. If it happens, we still something could go down this weekend. Again, these are some of the playing games I like to see. Again, if for whatever reason, if and I don't know if I can have that kind of luck, folks, to see a Minnesota have to play a Laker team in that playing game, because I know Minnesota's got the talent to beat them. I think they beat them earlier. Well, Minnesota, nobody's been beating Golden State at home other than Minnesota. They beat them on the 26th of March, 99-96. Both teams were fully loaded, okay? And, hey, man, it is what it is. But, I'll break this down. I reached out to my friend Jeffrey Deskovic, and see if he wanted to come on next Thursday and break this stuff down. He said he's a big NBA fan. He hadn't got back. This guy's a lawyer. He works a lot of hours. If he don't, it means no, never mind. I will break this down. And, of course, technically, Oklahoma City's still into it. So they've got to play at Utah and Memphis. Now, they're sitting there right on the edge of getting in. What a good job by Oklahoma City, right? They get this draft pick, lose this guy, number one pick. It wasn't number one overall pick. They lose this guy. Don't blink. This Shea, what's this guy's name? SGA, I think is what they call him. Something Alexander. I tell you what, he's a very talented player on a very young and developing team. But I love me some Sam Presti, right? Yeah, I really like Sam Presti. And this Oklahoma City team, they're going to get good. They're going to get good. And the fact that they're even still in it is unbelievable. So, I really like Danny Ainge and this Sam Presti, man. These guys are something else. Yeah, SGA, Gregorius Alexander. Not SBA, not Small Business Association. This guy, former University of Kentucky player, he has blossomed into an excellent player, man. Man, has he got a lot of gas in the gas tank here. So we're in for a well of a playoff run in the NBA, and I'm looking forward to it. So my final answer for this is I love the playing game. I really like the playing game. I remember one year when Memphis I think Memphis put out Golden State a few years ago. I thought those games are very intense. Really like to see that. And one of these days, we're going to see eventually a big upset. We're going to see like a 10 seed just get hot at the right time, and they're going to get up getting in. They're going to end up getting in over a team that starts off as a 7th seed. And all this starts off, and it will end on the 14th. The 14th. But I don't know how the NBA is going to set the schedule, but this playoffs start. My guess is they'll probably, the teams that play on that 14th, which is, I want to say, a Friday, they'll probably play next Sunday in the playoffs. So this is going to be a very exciting time, Corey. I know you love this stuff, man. And, I do too. I love those TNT games. I wish TNT had exclusive rights to the playoffs. So Barkley and Shaq and that group, Kenny Smith, can all broadcast these games and just totally take them off of ESPN. That would be a good thing for me personally. Okay, then. So we shall see. The Bucks now. The Bucks are sitting up there at that 1 seed. Now I'll say this: according to the new rules, I want to say, according to the new rules. Now I haven't broken it down, and I think it's between the Bucks and Boston to win it. I'm leaning Boston slightly, but it's between the Bucks and the Boston to win the whole thing. They're that good. I was talking about the MVP the other day. And I want to say, to be fair, I want to say that, Giannis has only played 63 games, and I think he needs, according to the new, not this year, but the new CBA, he'll need 65 games. That's what I proposed anyways. Man, that was my idea. But that's going to be the new CBA, 65 game minimum to receive any awards. So he would technically, if we were in the new CBA, he would technically need to play 2 more games. His rebounding and assists are better than Joel Embiid, and they've got a better record than the Philadelphia 76ers, contrary to what anybody in the media says, and contrary to what anybody like a Doc Rivers says. Why he's talking about that and not winning games, I don't know. That was my rant yesterday, but I would probably vote Giannis for the MVP because we're not in that new CBA yet, because this CBA hasn't expired. But yeah, Giannis would be my MVP because they're going to get, not only do they have the best record in the East, Milwaukee's got the best record in all of basketball. They've got a better record than Denver does in the East. And Denver has secured the 1 seed. So Denver, depending on how this technically shakes out, we won't know that till this time next week, right? Because that will be on the 14th. Today's the 7th, folks. So I can't really give you a prediction until I break down the games so I know exactly who's playing. Other than that, I'm just guessing because the West is very jumbled together down those last few seeds there. The most interesting I've seen it in a long time, though. On the court, I mean, like, look at this. OKC, they got a better. They're higher right now than Dallas, even though they got the same record. You know, I guess they got some kind of tiebreaker over Dallas, and Minnesota being 40-40. Man, I was hoping Minnesota found a way. And I think if they beat New Orleans, yeah, I would love to see them jump to that 8 and let Minnesota play the Lakers in that play-in game. That's going to be a highly rated play-in game, if you ask me. All righty then, back to the pigskin. So, you know, Cam Newton listed teams. He put out a list of teams that he's willing to back up at quarterback. Now, I guess, like I was saying earlier when I was talking about in the intro to the program, that Cam Newton still in very good shape to be 34. Very tough to tackle. Great big old guy. You know, good athlete, tough, strong arm. And now I think he's being realistic that he can be a role player. I think he's a good package guy. If you're trying to get, if you try to get some goal line stuff in there and you think that there may be, it's going to be a week by week thing. If you could put him in on an inside the 2, something like that, where you do the quarterback sneak or do the play action option play. He scored, I think he's got the record for most touchdowns, I want to say. And, you know, signing him to a Baker Mayfield, like a $1.7 million base, something like that for Cam. Give him an incentive now. Give him a snap incentive. Say if he goes to, say, my team, I'll just throw out the Ravens, for example. He said he would go back up Lamar. He said he would go back up. He would go back up with Tennessee. He said he would go. He said he'd back up Deshaun Watson. He said he'd back up Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, that'd be ideal. You know, don't let Josh Allen get the hit. What if Josh Allen got hurt? They're kind of the same players. So Allen's a little bit more talented of a passer. But my thing is, you know, give him a snap-based incentive where, you know, he would make over $10 million. If, say, the quarterback gets hurt early in the season and he has to take the team over, he would get additional incentives if they got to the playoffs or whatnot. But yeah, he's still a gadget guy. I would use him with something like that. You know, he would fit in good with the Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia signed Marcus Mariota, but you know, just example, he may fit in with Atlanta. So you just never know. Really fit in with Cleveland or Baltimore. This is teams that he said he would go to, and maybe even go back and play for the old coach there with Ron Rivera. Play up there with Washington behind Sam Howell, the second-year player. They're trying to. I don't think that Ron Rivera is a strong personality, and when he says goes, that's how he is. Former linebacker. I can see with the new ownership coming in there, which we expect to happen in May for the Commanders. I could see him coming in and say, you know something, man. We've got Eric Bieniemy. He's very creative, a very creative offensive coordinator. He's got to learn something from Andy Reid. We're inside the 3-yard line. We don't think that Howell was athletic enough, but we know Cam is. We can do a run-pass option with him, and he'd be tough to stop, man. He'd be tough to stop. So that would probably be the best fit for him. Going up there to that Commanders team. Keep an eye out for that. For the right price, you could get a guy like Cam. He came in very low one year and won quite a few games for that was a COVID year. Had some decent games with New England that year. I'll say this. They beat the year they had Cam up there in New England. They beat a good Baltimore team that year. They beat a playoff Baltimore team. Now, that was a rainstorm, and Belichick was doing some really good coaching, but Cam didn't mess it up, though. I mean, they got smoked a few times that year. That was a COVID year. Cam got COVID, never fully recovered from it until later on. But he wasn't bad. He's a very good. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Josh Dobbs did go back to Cleveland, didn't he? Yeah, Dobbs is probably a smoother thrower than a Cam Newton. A lot younger. That's right. I forgot. He did go back up there. So Cam is really running out of options. Right now, Baltimore's only got one quarterback out there. So this Baltimore thing, and we're just counting down the days. I really hope that Cam Newton or that the Lamar Jackson does not hold out for the season. I really think that's going to hurt his game. I think he'll lose money. I think it's going to be hard to get his timing back. We saw how it looked when Deshaun Watson came back, very rusty, took 3-4 games. It's hard to come back in just one game and get that timing back. I really hope that he does not do that. You know what? Baltimore may be the only option for a Lamar Jackson. But a Cam Newton, you just never know about it. I just hope the guy, essentially, I just hope that somebody if he's going to play, somebody picks him up around training camp. So you want to get those packages in. You want to get those packages in. You don't want to pick a guy up like this in the middle of the season, like they did last year when he came back, or it might have been the year before that, when he came back and played with Carolina and just came in, didn't know the playbook or anything, just came in there and ran a few plays. He looked great in the first game. The second game, he was totally lost. He got scared. And Pickle says he'd be insane to turn a check down. Yeah, he's getting bad advice, man. Really bad advice. So there is a place for Cam Newton. I'm not one of those people that think he does not have. There's a place for Lamar Jackson. He's a guy that he's a good football player. He makes plays. With the right coach, you can use him. He may not be worth $232 guaranteed, but as a gadget guy, he can play in his 30s as a gadget guy because that kind of speed doesn't go away that quick. I mean, Michael Vick was out running guys when he was in their 30s when they were like second-year players. They were trying to call, I think it was LaShawn McCoy. When Michael Vick went to prison, got out and everything, McCoy was bragging, man, I think I could beat you in a race and all that. Man, you're getting older, old man, and yada, yada. Vick said, okay, let's go ahead and race then, man. Let's go ahead and race. And he beat that young LaShawn McCoy and shut him up real quick. So some of these guys, they keep their speed, man. If you remember that, Pickles, Pickles says Lamar needs a professional agent. But also in the news, I was reading that Tyreek Hill said he's going to play out the next 4 years in this Miami contract, and he's done. You know, he's going to be, what does Tyreek say? I think he's going to be 32 years old. And I thought, you know, that's an ideal way to leave if you're a receiver. Yeah, be 32 years old. He play that out, then technically he would be 33 as a free agent. He would be 32, turning 33. I got to thinking about this, and if you guys don't recall, Tom Brady didn't start playing football till high school. And that's one of the reasons why he played so long, because he wasn't burnt out on football. He started playing in high school. I mean, 15 years old, right? 14 years old, 15 years old. And, you know, ideally with the CTE stuff and then other permanent injuries players talk about, I think that this has been talked about since that CTE movie came out and everything. But I think that everybody around the country, it should be totally outlawed. Nobody other than you shouldn't play tackle football until high school. You can play flag, and that can help the skills. You can help the quarterback skills. You can help the receiving skills. But actual tackle football with helmets and pad, start that at high school. The player goes through high school. They go through the 3-4 years of college or whatever. Then they play to about, non-quarterback, play to about 32, 33 years old. You're playing 10, 12, 14 years in the league. Instead of that takes out that less hitting. You look at that with the new tackling and advancement and equipment. I think that would be an ideal situation there. But Hill's got a lot of money heading his way. Now, this year, Tyreek is a very low cap hit for these guys, but it goes way up. And he had to adjust his salary this year. It's going to go skyrocket next year. They can he's going to be making over $30-something million next year, and then in 25, it's out of this world. But they could cut him and take a $22 million cap hit. But you know what? He's kept himself in pretty good shape, and he's becoming a better route runner over the years. And maybe they do something. You know, if they can keep Tua healthy, they can win that division. That's a big if, though, right? Keeping Tua healthy that's the $64,000 question, Pickles. And Pickles says he'd be lucky to stay. Yeah, remember he got in some potential serious trouble. I think it was like domestic stuff, and we thought that Kansas City thought. The Chiefs thought that he was going to get suspended for a long time, and then maybe some video would come out because they drafted Malik. What's this guy's name? Oh, geez, Mecole Hardman. Very fast guy, not the player that Hills became, but drafted him to be Hill's replacement because he got into some domestic stuff. He skated by that. And I don't think he even never got suspended for it. He re-signed up with Kansas City, won Super Bowl, and then went to Miami and got, they ended up giving Kansas City some draft picks. Kansas City cashed them in. Of course, they won the Super Bowl. I think he got in trouble at Georgia, and that's why he came from a smaller school. But yeah, Tyreek Hill, man, I tell you, I guess he didn't want to let that speed deteriorate. I'm one of those players. Ideally, you want to tell a player, leave when you can play well. I know a lot of people wanted to see Barry Sanders play on. I would rather leave when I'm on top and I feel like I'm in pretty healthy shape. I've got some money put back because you're supposed to have post-football planned out way beforehand. If you have a brain you have just some kind of mentor in your life, you're supposed to have all that taken care of in your head. Because the truth of the matter is people are living longer. I was watching Alan Dershowitz the other day. He was on TV talking about a book and stuff and talking politics. And this guy was a lawyer in the OJ trial. And, This guy he'll be 85 years old in September, and he's still writing books, promoting books, and everything. And, you know, if you look at him in some angles on TV, he looks the same as he did in 1995, you know? So if you're a 32-year-old, 33, even a 46-year-old quarterback retire, you got a lot of life to live, especially if you take care of yourself, man. You know, you take care. I mean, you could be working way up in your mid 70s to early. And of course, the Jets signed Tim Boyle as a backup there. That they sign a quarterback. I mean, you know, the Rodgers, you got to get this Rodgers thing taken care of. We got this draft will be 3 weeks from this day, I want to say, the NFL draft. I mean, come on, Rodgers. Come on, Lamar. Let's get this stuff over with before the draft. And, of course, that day, I'll probably won't have a show. I'll be on, likely, the Mac and Jack and Jim Jeffcoat show right around the time the Tennessee Titans pick at 11. That'll be 3 weeks from this day, guys. So if you like the show, share the show. I will be back on tomorrow, same time, same place, with Carlos, Mad New Yorker Chavez. Maybe we'll talk a little NBA, and I'm going to get his thoughts on some mock drafts as well, especially about the 2 New York teams and the Titans. He follows those 3 teams pretty well, and get an insight on what he thinks about all that and more here on Sports Scope. Thanks, guys. Got a good audience tonight.